What's going on, guys? Decided to do some more mock drafts. Welcome back to Play to Win. And I noticed I was doing some drafts the other night. It might have been last night, and I ended up with a lot of teams I really didn't care for. I was wondering why that happened, and I think it's because I wasn't drafting against the tiers and all the rankings that I had. Even just looking at these two pages here, I had a RB ranking probably about a month ago, somewhere around there, and I just noticed how different they are from my round one rankings. So I think the point of that is that things are going to change. Your opinion's going to bounce back and forth, and you need something to kind of keep you on track. So I started up here, and hopefully I'm going to try to stay on point and have you guys keep me honest here. So I have just the usual settings. It's a PPR, one flex spot with a tight end, two running back, two wide receiver. This is like two out of like actually no, like 3 out of 5 of my leagues here have these settings, so that's why I primarily draft with that. Right off the bat, so we got the number 12 spot, and so this is I think I'm actually liking the end of the round less and less. I think it's a pretty big detriment here if you don't get one of those top four guys that I have in my rankings here. The OBJ to Le'Veon Bell, Julio, Antonio. If you don't get those guys, I think you're going to be at a deficit. At whatever position you're fighting against there. This is assuming that Le'Veon's healthy. But here, so if I use my rankings here, so Gurley's Green is the only one that's left here. So we'll go ahead and do Green. And then after Green, so we got Hopkins, long gone. David Johnson's gone. Gronk's gone. So after here, I'm getting a little bit down on Allen Robinson the more as the year goes on. Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's kind of he's a risky pick there at that second turn. So all the accounts that I've heard of from Jordy have been pretty solid. So I'd probably end up with him or Alshon here. Um, Probably just Jordy because I'll default that to the quarterback, and I think that I'll just end up sticking with him. Aaron Rodgers over Jay Cutler. I know Jay Cutler likes to target one guy and run with it, but he has Kevin White now, and Jordy's long proven there. Okay, so we're back in the third now, so this ranking doesn't help. And then so what running backs do I got on my list? So only DeMarco Murray's there. I probably need to bump him down because I'm really not big on him this year. So I have two running backs. Dion Lewis is a wild card there. He was hurt kind of like mid to late season, so he would be one that I would avoid there. Carlos Hyde. I don't know how well he fits Chip Kelly, but that is a RB1 potentially there, so I'm gonna have to take him. And I like Macklin, but he plays with Alex Smith, so I'd rather take a shot at Golden Tate. If we get closer to the season and Sammy Watkins is healthy, I'd definitely take Sammy Watkins over him. And then past that, I think Golden Tate would probably be the pick. And then I'll go with Carlos Hyde. I know Dion Lewis is really good on that Patriots offense. But what was it? Kevin White, I think, or James White. Whoever was the backup on Dion Lewis did really well behind him too. So might be more of an offensive fit. I know he's very shifty and hard to tackle, but probably end up with Hyde there as more the consistent play because he's just waiting to break out. They struggled last year, but Chip Kelly is gonna they're gonna run a lot more plays. I think there's just gonna be a uptick of everybody on that team, even if it's Gabbert, because Gabbert, even though he's not anywhere near like a franchise quarterback, he played pretty solid at the end of the year last year, or actually for most of the year. Okay, so we'll come back here. So now we got our three set up there. So usually when I go three wide receivers, I want to make sure that I really drive home that point and really have some solid wide receivers. So Ryan Matthews is probably Pretty sure he's going to be the pick here because he's a RB1 at the moment. So I'll pick him, and because I knew I had two picks, that's why, or else I would have taken a wide receiver first. So I think Michael Floyd or Moncrief are the pick here for me because there's a lot of upside on both of those. Fitzgerald's winding down, so I think I like Floyd a little bit more than Moncrief because they air it out more. But I could see an argument both ways on that one. And so I think the idea there is that you get four wide receivers early, and you're pretty set on it. Like you don't really have to deal with it, and you can take a shot at it at the end of your draft there, because you'd be really unlucky to end up losing two guys, But there's always a possibility. So our running back's pretty light. At best, these guys, could potentially be, like late RB1s, and they're more likely to be like RB2s. So we could shore up that position. Um, so Langford's going to be in the committee, and right now Matt Jones has that spot. So I'll default that to Matt Jones. And then after that, you're kind of dealing with committees. I mean, Gore's down there. He's undervalued for sure because he's getting older. But, I mean, that is the best offense there. That's the one that, out of all these guys, I'd probably go with Gore, and I don't have any other Colts there, so I'll take a shot at him for the wily veteran. And then we'll see what comes back to us. So right now I don't have a tight end or a QB, but there's 11 quarterbacks gone there. And I've talked about in my previous video, I like Jameis Winston. Matt Stafford did really good at the end of the year last year. So the chances of, that many backup quarterbacks going are unlikely. So I'll keep moving over here. So DGB is one of those potential breakout candidates. The offense is going to be limited. They're supposedly going to run the football a lot. But every team says that, and if their defense can't hold up, which their defense is kind of like mid range, so he would be one that I would be willing to take a stab at because this is the ninth round here. I like him. Corey Coleman has some potential, but that's going to be that's a big change there. A lot of turnover on that offense. I like Treadwell, and then for my other videos, I like Shepard too. So those are the three. And I think that's the highest upside, with potentially maybe Tevin Coleman being the other one, because he was drafted by the coaching staff that's currently in there, and if Freeman faults at all, which I'm not big on Freeman anyway, so that's potential there. Arian Foster's there too. He's definitely worth it. I'd probably go Foster over Coleman, just because Freeman had a breakout year last year, and wherever Foster goes, he's going to demand touches. Because this is all about upside here. If you do handcuffs at this point, that's fine. I let a few handcuffs slip by there. What was it? It was Darren Sproles and Chris Thomas, and I'm not a believer in any of those guys will be three down backs, so I'll let those go by. But the other one here is D'Angelo Williams, and I still don't have a tight end, and we're getting kind of to the end there. I think that's probably the last one that I'll let slip is Zach Miller, who I like. And well, Jared Cook's there, but then he got hurt too, so you have to take that for that whatever that's worth. I think it was like a foot injury or something. So I'll probably go with Miller just so I can have that spot filled, and then probably D'Angelo Williams. He is a backup. If Bell goes down, like he's one of the few that I would store, like Carlos Williams, those high-end RBs the handcuffs that will actually return value. So I'll go with him. Looks like 4 or 5 QBs went around that turn there. I think Romo's going to be fine this year. Winston's going to be fine. Winston or Stafford. I think that Detroit defense is probably worse. So Stafford's probably the better pick. because he was turning it around at the end of the year. And then, when your defense is bad, that means you throw a lot on the offensive side. So, like Blake Bortles last year is a perfect example, right? The defense was just, it was mostly, some of it was Bortles' fault. Like probably half of it was Bortles' fault for putting them down in the game just about every game. But then the defense also, even when it wasn't Bortles' fault, it was, lower tier defense. So I could see picks either way there. Even Matt Ryan, I mean, he had a lot of yards last year. They couldn't run the ball, so they could turn that around too. And he has the elite receiver. So I think I just waffled there. I'll probably just go with Ryan because he's throwing it to Julio, and can't get better than that. And then so we're here in the 14th round, and you got to start doing kickers. And Goskowski and Vikings D is pretty solid. They have AP, so they'll just run and keep those games close. So let's check out what it thought. So it really didn't like the team, the starters there. Wonder why here. Oh yeah, that's why. Because of so it didn't like the defense, the tight end, or the quarterback. And this one, I wouldn't say I would be overly thrilled about this team either. So the running back is a little bit weak. Wide receivers, like you would think that I picked 3 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds that I'd have a really strong wide receiving core. So I have 2 there. Golden Tate's kind of he was like the best available. But I think I'm okay with it because Michael Floyd's there. DGB has that breakout potential. Foster, if he can return, 75% of what he used to do, he's a RB2 right there. DeAngelo Williams, he's a RB1 if Bell is out. And yeah, so I'm not terribly upset about the team. If I went into a season like this, I'd be shooting for keeping that waiver spot for the first running back that goes down. I'd be shipping around the quarterbacks as well, maybe dropping Ryan for Stafford or Jameis Winston. There's a lot of flexibility there. And then same with the tight ends. If Zach Miller didn't work out, I don't know if Dwayne Allen got picked up, but there's players like that, Clive Walford. So you just have to be with the strategy of you're waiting for your tight end, you're waiting for your quarterback. You have to be really active with those, and same with defense too. Depending on your league, if you're allowed to have as many waivers as possible, there are times where I just drop my quarterback and defensive team just every week, and I just play the matchups just over and over. If there's no penalty for it, then you should be using that to your advantage. And same with the tight end, and then you just wait that you keep that waiver spot depending on how your league is set up, and you hang on to that waiver spot with everything you got because the injuries are somebody's going to go down. Le'Veon Bell's going to go down. I drafted D'Angelo, but he's an example of that. Charkandrick West last year was big. Who else is there? There's Tim Hightower last year. If you ended up with these players, like they put some really good work in for you because they're fresh, and as they come in with the defenses have been playing all year, got fresh legs against tired defenses, and it's just a recipe for opportunity points and all that. So yeah, if you guys like the videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or anything, happy to write up some articles. I wrote one up on Duke Johnson for somebody that asked a question about the Browns backfield, and I'm happy to do that because I learn a lot more and more detail, and so yeah. See you guys.